call the 4th Osage Nation Congress to order. We are having our HunKah session, and today is March 31st, 2016. It is 10:01 a.m., and we are on day 4 of our agenda. I'd like to say welcome to all of the beautiful faces in our crowd this morning. First item on the agenda is prayer. Congresswoman Buffalohead, would you please lead us in a word of prayer this morning?
Dear Heavenly Father, we just come to you today, and we ask that you look down upon us as we go about the work for the Osage people. We ask that you give us strong hearts, and we ask that you help us with our communication efforts, Lord. We ask that you bring peace between our branches of government and help us to work well together for the people, because that's why we're here. We're here to serve the Osage people. We ask that you look down upon our men and women in uniform, our elders, our children, all these things. We pray in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Congresswoman. Roll call.
Congresswoman Buffalohead. Present. Congresswoman Edwards. Present. Congressman Hamilton.
Present.
Congressman Yett. Congressman Baker.
Here.
Congressman Mason.
Present.
Congressman Norris.
Here.
Congresswoman Pratt.
Here.
Congressman Shaw.
Here.
Congressman Supernaw.
Here.
Congressman Walker.
Here.
Speaker Whitehorn.
Here.
Assistant Chief Redcorn.
Present.
We have a quorum. Next item on the agenda is approval of the journal. Congressman Pratt.
On page 3, the vote to commit ONC 1554 back to committee looks incorrect to me. I believe Congressman Hamilton voted yes, and someone else.
Congresswoman Buffalo.
Actually, Congresswoman Buffalohead's name isn't on that vote, so that's missing. And then her vote was yes.
We will make those corrections. Thank you for pointing them
My
out.
vote was no. I'm not even listed.
Right, that's what I was saying.
Yes, you're not there.
Her vote was no.
Okay.
Right, the vote moves up a bit. Well, Edwards, Buffalohead, and Pratt voted no.
Congressman Edwards.
And just for pagination, you might move that, where the heading of General Order Day 1 to the next page, so for continuity.
We'll make a note of that. Congressman Edwards.
Move to approve the Journal of March 30th as amended.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
The journal is approved. Next item on the agenda is reports of select committees. Are there any select committees to report? Seeing none, we are now on reports of standing. Congresswoman Pratt. Standing committees.
Good morning, Speaker, members of Congress, and all in attendance. I am reporting for the Cultural Committee, Bill number ONCR 1628. Is that? Okay, I was just questioning that bill number for a second. An act to provide an appropriation in the amount of $4 million to the Hominy Indian Village Committee for the demolition, design, and building of a new Hominy Village Community Building and the building or remodel of an arbor in the Hominy Indian Village and the purchase of kitchen equipment and furnishings for the building, as well as property management and improvements and to establish an alternate effective date. The sponsor is Shannon Edwards. The final committee action is do pass as a committee substitute with 5 yes votes from Pratt, Supernaw, Buffalohead, Maker, and Norris. Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Without objection, ONCR 1628 is advanced to general order. We're still in reports of standing committees. Congressman Walker.
Thank you, Speaker. Good morning, members of Congress, those in attendance and those listening. Governmental Operations Committee met yesterday, considered Bill number ONCA 1636, an act providing an appropriation in the amount of $75,000 for a grant donation to the city of Barnstall for water treatment equipment and installation and to establish an alternate effective date. Sponsor is Shannon Edwards. Committee action is do pass with amendments. Voting yes. Walker, Buffalohead, Shaw, Pratt, Supernaw.
Thank you, Congressman. Without objection, bill number ONCA 1636 is advanced to general order. Congresswoman.
I just wanted to take a moment to correct, I had a process, I read it as ONCR because that's how it's listed on the committee report, but I was thinking it should be an ONCA.
Okay.
Okay, so I just wanted to correct that for the reading.
We will make a note to have the clerk correct that
Thank you.
bill number. Thank you so much, appreciate it. We are now on General Order Day 1, which is second reading. We have one bill under that heading. Congressman Edwards.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, members of Congress, and invited guests. ONCA 1633 is an act to authorize funding levels for higher education scholarships paid out of the Higher Education Fund. This is the authorization to spend out of the fund and the amounts that have been agreed to by the principal chief as reflected in the student handbook. So this would be an opportunity and is the opportunity to report to the students what the funding levels will be for the next school year. Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman. I'm going to go back up on our agenda. I got a little bit ahead of myself, and we went to General Order Day 1 first. But let's back up and let's go to bills and resolutions on first reading. Congresswoman Edwards.
Thank you. ONCA 1645 is an act to authorize and appropriate $8,500,000 to the Higher Education Scholarship Fund and to establish an alternate effective date. What I heard is the request of the executive branch through the assistant principal chief. This was one bill to the direct assistance funds, and in an abundance of caution to not get the bill vetoed because there are 4 funds listed in the legislation instead of 1, I've divided what was a bill authorizing and appropriating to 4 funds now to 4 bills to do that. So one's in committee and these 3 are separate, as well as, okay, I'm sorry, do you want me to go all the way through? Or
Please go all the way through, yes.
ONCA 1646 is an act to authorize and appropriate $7 million to the Health Benefit Plan Fund and to establish an alternate effective date. And ONCA 1647 is an act to authorize and appropriate $11,000 to the Regional Gathering Fund and to establish an alternate effective date.
Thank you, Congresswoman. ONCA 1615, that was an incorrect number. ONCA 1645, ONCA 1646, and ONCA 1647 is referred to the Appropriations Committee. Now we are on bills and resolutions on third reading. Congresswoman Buffalohead, would you care to take the floor on this?
Thank you, Speaker, members of Congress, and those in attendance and listening. ONCR 1616 is a resolution commending Speaker Jerri Branstetter for her leadership and service to the Osage Nation Congress for the betterment of the Osage Nation and directing distribution. I had the pleasure of having Speaker Branstetter be my mentor when I very first was elected to Osage Nation Congress, and what a fabulous mentor. She taught me the ropes, taught me not to be new for very long, to get in there and showed me what Congress does, and she was a wonderful leader. She was a great speaker. She brought balance, fairness, and I'm just very happy today to honor her for her commitment and dedication and leadership to the Osage people. So thank you.
Okay, so we are on ONCR 1616. We're going to do this a little bit different than we have in the past. I'm going to go ahead and reread the bill title. ONCR 1616, a resolution commending Speaker Jerri Branstetter for her leadership and service to the Osage Nation Congress for the betterment of the nation and directing distribution. Congresswoman Buffalohead is the sponsor. She's already given her talk on there. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak for or against this bill or resolution? Congresswoman Edwards.
I also have had the privilege of working with Speaker Branstetter for a number of years in several capacities, and one of those capacities is friend. I remember when I first came up here, and you know, I'm from Oklahoma City area, and I know a lot of people, but I didn't know as many people as everyone else knows. So I remember her from the very beginning when telling me, I know you have a good heart, so you just make sure that you remember that and you use your heart in making decisions. And I thought that was really unique perspective, but a much appreciated perspective. So I've tried to keep that in mind going forward. I also want to remark on some of her other qualities. Earlier this week, the speaker spoke about balance. And I have to say that Speaker Branstetter is a very balanced person. She brings that kind of approach to her leadership, as well as patience. And that's probably not one of my strong suits. And so it's very helpful to be governed and have leadership shown by people that have that kind of patience, because it's very important in this setting. So I wanted to remark on those qualities. We're doing this in honor of National Women's Month, and I think that if you read the announcement, it talked about some of the qualities that are perhaps unique to women in their leadership skills. And so I'm glad we're doing this, and I wanted to remark on those qualities that I find most compelling in Speaker Branstetter. Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Is there any other member that wishes to speak for or against, or for this bill? Congressman Norris.
Madam Speaker, members of Congress, I support this resolution wholeheartedly. I've worked with Jerri Branstetter, Speaker Branstetter, as a government reform commissioner. She spent many hours and days working on this new government that we operate under. She was very, very, as you might say, balanced. Her temperament was always good, and she was a thinker. She brought a lot to the commission, and it's been my pleasure to not only work with Jerri but know her throughout the years, and I think that this is a wonderful, wonderful gesture to recognize her. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman Norris. Any other member wish to speak? Congresswoman Pratt.
Thank you. I appreciate everyone speaking about her professional accomplishments. I did not have the pleasure of working with my Aunt Jerri professionally, here within Congress or anywhere else, but I have had the pleasure of having her as my inata all these years, and she's like a mother to me. And so I did ask if it's okay if I vote for this resolution, so, and I was told that's fine, so I will be voting for it. So I thought, I might as well speak, because I've heard some comments and the balance that she brought to this nation and this branch of government, and she does that for her family. She's patient, and she's kind, and she's always there for everyone. So she's not so patient when she drives. She drives like a hellion, and I get that from her. She told me she was pulled over on the way here, so I get that from her. But I get a lot of things from her, and I'm so appreciative of that and grateful for everything she does for our family. She's always the first one there, always the last one to leave. And she just gives so much of herself, and she's been through a lot. And so I just thank you all for recognizing her and for all your kind comments about her. So thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman Pratt. Any other member wish to speak? Congressman Supernaw.
Where is Jerri Jean sitting?
Right back over here.
Oh, there you are. Well, we started together in this government 10 years ago, and in the very first few years, it was like a baby taking his first steps. We stumbled and fell, and I think Jerri Jean was the first speaker that began to get us started taking steps and walking upright and getting legislation through here quickly. We had a big problem with that in the beginning. I still call Jerri Jean occasionally, and we still talk a lot about it. She's still interested in the government and has always been. I haven't got to talk to her since this recent Supreme Court ruling, but I think it's going to change that Constitution into something you never envisioned. But I appreciate her work, and I think she's well deserving of this recognition. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman. Any other member wish to speak? Seeing none, the question is, shall ONCR 1616 pass?
Congresswoman Edwards?
Yes.
Congressman Hamilton?
Yes.
Congressman Maker?
Yes.
Congressman Mason?
Yes.
Congressman Norris?
Yes.
Congresswoman Pratt?
Yes.
Congressman Shaw?
Yes.
Congressman Supernaw?
Yes.
Congressman Walker?
Yes.
Congresswoman Buffalohead?
Yes.
Speaker Whitehorn?
Yes. ONCR 1616 passes and is referred to enrollment. We're going to go, Alice, we're going to go ahead on and vote on these, and then I'm going to give you a time to speak and give the commendations if you don't mind doing it that way, okay? We're now on Resolution ONCR 1617, a resolution commending Debra Atterberry for her leadership and service to the Osage Nation Congress for the betterment of the nation and directing distribution. Congresswoman Buffalohead is the sponsor. How do you wish to proceed? Would you like to speak first or close? Okay.
Thank you, Speaker, members of Congress, those in attendance and those listening. I have enjoyed working with Deb. She's now our leader at the top of the education department. And I just really am thankful for the ladies that served on First Congress, because you helped to mold this new government. And First Congress did a lot of work. They put in a lot of hours. And just a few of the things that she has worked on, she amended the Osage Nation Anti-Meth Act. It was something that she felt needed to happen. She She speaks about prevention and treatment, even to this day. She didn't leave that work behind when she left office. She still works on things for the Osage people. She also worked on the Osage Nation Health and Wellness Advisory Board. She is one of the people that helped get that piece of legislation together. She has been instrumental in education. And so I am just very honored to recognize her at this time and thank her for everything that she's done for the Osage people. Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Are there any other members that wish to speak about this resolution right now? Congresswoman Edwards.
I realize I'm dating myself because I've worked with all three of these people and it has been 10 years. Again, when we talk about leadership and women's leadership, it reminds me of when I first met Congresswoman Atterberry, and she actually called the women of the Congress together and said, you know, we are setting the standard here and we need to be better than just good. You know, unfortunately, there are sometimes different standards for men than women. But she said, we're up for the challenge and we just need to be prepared and we need to have conviction and we need to be solid, but we also need to be compassionate. And I think those are all the things that Deb possesses. What I liked about her is she was very dedicated to her causes, and she would study on them and she would research on them, and then she would call people and talk about it. Now maybe I don't understand this, or maybe I'm thinking that this is the way to go. And one thing I will tell on myself is that she used to say, well, let's just go take a walk and talk about these things. And she'd be up there and I'd be back here. Hold on, wait a minute, I'm trying to catch up. So that's just another thing about Deb Atterberry. She's passionate about health. She's passionate about education. She's passionate about the Osage people, about culture, and I've learned so much for her, and I want to commend her on this deserved recognition. Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman Edwards. Any other member wish to speak? Congresswoman Pratt.
Thank you. I've had the pleasure of working with Ms. Atterberry for a few years now, and I agree with many of the comments that have been spoken so far, that she's patient and kind. And even in the heat of the moment, when a lot of things get going around here, she always presents it with class, and so I appreciate that. And she is very passionate about her the work that she's doing, and I just appreciate all our women in leadership. We're typically outnumbered, and but I think that we've had very strong women within this government, and strong leaders who speak up and have passion for our people, and so I appreciate the work that she does for this nation. So thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Any other member wish to speak? Congressman Walker.
Well, thank you, Congresswoman Buffalohead, for doing this for all three of it. And just because I didn't get up and speak about Speaker Branstetter's earlier, I feel the same way that everyone else did. You did a great job. Debra Atterberry is obviously my aunt. Proud to say that. I could say so much. So many of the things have already been said are so true. She is passionate. She is a hard worker. But for us and our family, she's our rock. She's our mainstay. She's the one that we go to. There's no doubt that whenever times get hard, she's going to be there. She's the one that we look to, and I appreciate that. And Lord knows the Walkers need that person. And thank you, Aunt Deb.
Thank you, Congressman Walker. Is Is there any other member that wishes to speak now? Seeing none, the question is, shall ONCR 1617 pass?
Congressman Hamilton,
Yes.
Congressman Maker,
Yes.
Congressman Mason,
Yes.
Congressman Norris,
Yes.
Congresswoman Pratt,
Yes.
Congressman Shaw,
Yes.
Congressman Supernaw,
Yes.
Congressman Walker,
Yes.
Congresswoman Buffalohead,
Yes.
Congresswoman Edwards.
Yes.
Speaker Whitehorn.
Yes. ONCR 1617 passes and is referred to enrollment. We are now on ONCR 1618, a resolution commending Speaker Faren for her leadership and service to the Osage Nation Congress for the betterment of the Osage Nation and directing distribution. Congresswoman Buffalohead, would you like to open that?
When we reformed our government and I found out that Faren was running, I was really excited about that. We're about the same age, and I knew of her. I knew more friends with her cousin, but I knew of her, and I was excited about that because she was young and vibrant and educated, and I knew she was going to get in there and do some great work, and she did. The Osage Nation Savings Plan, the Open Meetings Act, which we're still working on. We're still working on things like this. It's coming full circle. But the Cultural Donations Act and the Independent Press Act, these were things that she sponsored and that she worked on, and they were needed. And we knew we needed them because the people voted for a new government. They wanted transparency. And they wanted accountability. And a lot of the things that Speaker Anderson sponsored, that's what she gave them. That's what she gave our government. That's how she helped us. So I'm very thankful, again, to all the work that the first Congress did. And this is Women's History Month. This is what I wanted to do. And Congresswoman Edwards was a part of the first Congress. I wanted to honor the women that were no longer sitting in a seat. And that was my way of doing that. And if Congresswoman Edwards is never sitting in a seat at some point and I'm here, I will honor her. I also plan to honor all the women in our Osage government. I wanted to give the new government their day. I have plans next year to honor Jody Revar, Terry Mason Moore, Rosemary Wood, Cynthia Boone, the Minerals Council women. But we had a recent ruling. And it was at the forefront of our new government, and it changed things quite a bit. But we will prevail. We will move on, and we will march on, and because we're here to serve the people, and that's what we'll do. So I just wanted to say thank you to all the ladies of the First Osage Nation Congress. We appreciate all the work that you've done. Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Is there any other member that wishes to speak now? Congressman Pratt.
Thank you. I just love Faren, and I agree with Alice, we're all the same age, we're relatives, and I was sitting there thinking about it, and I was like, these are all my relatives, and I was thinking about Faren and her Zonzoli ties, and that's one thing about it when I was thinking about my Aunt Jerri is that when I served in the military, they were suck it up and drive on. And I was like, it was easy. Yeah, I did well because of my exposure to the women in my family and the women of Hominy. And because we are who we are, love us or hate us, we are passionate. We're passionate about what we do. And we're someone you want on your side. When times get tough and get things done. So we'll help you take on your cause and drive you forward. And that's who she is. And I knew that she would represent us well at that time, when this started. And I was glad and supported her. And I thought she will represent us well. And so I just wanted to say that. And again, commend all the women for their leadership and the things that they've done to this nation, and girl power, so, thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman Pratt. Congresswoman Edwards.
Speaker Anderson shows and tells us all that young people have a place in this government, and she came in being probably by far the youngest person in the first Congress, and she brought with her that energy and that youth and that idealism, and it was effective, and it was something we needed. She also brought with her a real dedication to order and process. I went back and I looked at just how many bills she sponsored. It was clear she worked very hard at this position. She was working after hours. She would sit in that corner many times with all her papers, and I have to say that no one can raise one eyebrow better than Faren Anderson. And she just did, and I have to tell you, I went home one night to see if I could actually even do that. And I cannot. But when she raised her eyebrow, and I know Kugee knows what I'm talking about because I think he sat across from her, and I would watch her raise her eyebrow at Kugee, and I'm like, I hope he's looking at that. She's sending him a message. What the heck are you talking about? But again, I think she's a mentor to young women. She's an inspiration, and she's hope for the future. So I hope that our younger Osage women will begin to consider, if they haven't already, leadership roles in our Congress, in our government, and in our nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Is there any other member? Congressman Supernaw.
I would like to say one other thing, besides that intimidating eyebrow. I dubbed her the rules queen when she was here because although she was the youngest member of the Congress, she had had previous experience with the BLM, I think, and she developed or maybe it was natural, an ability to review bills. At that time, we wrote bills from scratch by plagiarizing anything we could. We didn't have the legal help that we have now, and we'd have to write these bills from scratch. And she would review these bills, had a remarkable ability. You might read in a bill that's 20 pages long, and she'd get to the 20th page and she'd say, wait a minute, this conflicts with something in the first place. And I think, how do you remember that? But she could do that better than anybody, and still, I've never met anybody that could do that as well as she did. So I'm full of support to this.
Thank you, Congressman. Any other member wish to speak? Congressman Hamilton and then Congressman Maker.
Thank you, Speaker. I just want to say, Faren and I are related on our Strike Act side of the family. And like what's been said already, when she threw her name in for the first Osage Congress, I couldn't be more proud and excited for her. And he never told her this either, but I've always looked up to her and her accomplishments. And her ability to stay busy. I know she stays really busy now. So I just wanted to echo that I was proud of her and her accomplishments, and I still do look up to her. And really thankful for Alice for doing this, and look forward to recognizing her and everyone else today. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman Hamilton. Congressman Maker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, members of Congress, and all those here today. I'd like to commend Faren too, because she is my relative from Homley on her grandfather, Leon Penn. And when she ran for Congress, we were all very proud of her, because we knew she would do a great job up here because of her character and integrity, and we knew she would bring that up here to this new government, which was, it was so new, as you all know. You've heard everybody speak about that first Congress, all the challenges they faced on putting all this together. It had to be just, it's difficult now, when I think about how it had to be back then, it's just incredible how everyone on that first Congress did such a great job. And all three of these women here today that's being honored, they're just very wonderful people. And I didn't say anything about Jerri Jean, but I want to, but everybody was saying such great things. I thought I'd wait till the end, but I know her family from Hominy my whole life when we were all kids growing up down in the village. And I know her whole family growing up. And I worked with Deb at the language, and I know her dedication to the culture. And her whole family, all her Aunt Lily up here in Pawhuska was a great rock for the Pawhuska people. But I just want to commend all three of these women for their great service.
Thank you, Congressman Maker. Any other member wish to speak? Members of Congress and our guests, Faren, we don't know each other, but I want to thank you, and I hope you're not offended. I saved my time till last to thank all of you women for the work you've done here. It's made my job easier because you guys laid the groundwork. You put in the processes. We have an excellent process here that we follow. We know where we are. We know what to expect next. And I didn't have to figure that out. You guys plowed the way. You did that work for us, as other members did. I know that can't do anything without at least 7, to make the decision on things. But I really am appreciative of what you've done. I hope that you're proud of how you've seen your process continue on. And I think just as women, I know that men love their families and sons too, but I think as women, we just have an innate desire to see things progress and move forward for our children, for their grandchildren, and that's what you guys have done in your place in government. And I just thank all 3 of you for the work that you've done. I also would like to thank Congresswoman Buffalohead for bringing this thought to the forefront and having a day that we can spend to honor women, and especially women in our Osage Nation government, because it's going to continue on. We're moving forward, and that's what we do. So I'd like to thank all the women. I like the idea that Congresswoman Buffalohead had about moving on with all women in government. So thank you very much. It's very much appreciated. The question is, does anyone else want to speak? The question is, shall ONCR 1618 pass?
Congressman Maker,
Yes.
Congressman Mason,
Yes.
Congressman Norris,
Yes.
Congresswoman Pratt,
Yes.
Congressman Shaw,
Yes.
Congressman Supernaw,
Yes.
Congressman Walker,
Yes.
Congresswoman Buffalohead,
Yes.
Congresswoman Edwards,
Yes.
Congressman Hamilton,
Yes.
Speaker Whitehorn.
Yes. OCR 1618 passes and is referred to enrollment. I believe that Congresswoman Buffalohead has some certificates of commendation for the women that we have recognized here today, and I'm going to give the floor to her to proceed on how she would like to do so.
So just again, real briefly, this was it's Women's History Month. I wanted to start somewhere by honoring the women in government. I chose to start with Congress. I have plans for next year, so for the other women in government. I think I'll just read these out, and then I think the Osage News would like a photo, so we'll figure that out here in just a second. But The Osage Nation Citation and Accommodation, Speaker Jerri Jean Branstetter. Whereas Speaker Jerri Jean Branstetter dedicated 6 years of service to the Osage Nation and its people as a member of the Osage Nation Congress. And whereas Speaker Jerri Jean Branstetter served the Osage Nation and people by undertaking leadership roles in the Osage Nation Congress and presiding as Speaker from 2010 to 2012. And whereas Speaker Jerri Jean Branstetter made significant contributions to establishing the role of the legislator as a member of the first Osage Nation Congress. And whereas Speaker Jerri Jean Branstetter has earned the admiration and respect of her colleagues and of the current members of the Osage Nation Congress for her leadership, dedication, and years of service to the Osage people. Now therefore, pursuant to the motion of Congresswoman Buffalohead, the Osage Nation Congress extends Speaker Jerri Jean Branstetter sincere commendation and directs that this citation be presented.
Do you want to present it to her
Yeah,
now?
yeah, we'll do one at a time.
And she has some flowers also back there on the table. Are they in the back?
There's three.
Oh, okay. There's three. I don't know if you want to put that, you want me to leave it right here for right now? Okay. Thank you. The Osage Nation Citation of Accommodation, Congresswoman Debra Atterberry. Whereas Congresswoman Debra Atterberry dedicated 4 years of service to the Osage Nation and its people as a member of the Osage Nation Congress. And whereas Congresswoman Debra Atterberry served the Osage Nation and people by undertaking leadership roles in the Osage Nation Congress and promoting health issues during her term of service. And whereas Congresswoman Debra Atterberry made significant contributions to establishing the role of legislator as a member of the first Osage Nation Congress. Whereas Congresswoman Debra Atterberry has earned the admiration and respect of her colleagues and the current members of the Osage Nation Congress for her leadership, dedication, and years of service to the Osage people. Now therefore, pursuant to the motion of Congresswoman Buffalohead, the Osage Nation Congress extends Congresswoman Debra Atterberry sincere accommodation and directs that the citation be presented. The Osage Nation Citation of Accommodation for Speaker Faren Anderson. Whereas Speaker Faren Anderson dedicated 4 years of service to the Osage Nation and its people as a member of the Osage Nation Congress. And whereas Speaker Faren Anderson served the Osage Nation and people by undertaking leadership roles in the Osage Nation Congress and presiding as Speaker in 2010. And whereas Speaker Faren Anderson made significant contributions to establishing the role of legislator as a member of the first Osage Nation Congress. Whereas Speaker Faren Anderson has earned the admiration and respect of her colleagues and the current members of the Osage Nation Congress for her leadership, dedication, and years of service to the Osage people. Now therefore, pursuant to the motion of Congresswoman Buffalohead, the Osage Nation Congress extends Speaker Faren Anderson sincere accommodation and directs that the citation be presented.
Thank you, Congresswoman, and thank you to all of the women in government that received accommodations. We are now in motions and notices. Congresswoman Pratt.
Rules and Ethics Committee will meet from 2 to 3 today.
Thank you, Congressman Walker.
Governmental Operations Committee will meet today from 3 to 5.
Thank you, Congressman Shaw.
Appropriations Committee will meet in the morning at 8:30.
Thank you for that notice. Congressman Hamilton.
We have a reception in the lobby following adjournment. Before we proceed, I'd like one of the honorees, I'm not going to select one, I'd like the honorees to get together to say the prayer for the food outside before we start.
Okay. Congresswoman Pratt.
I would like to announce that today is Congresswoman Buffalohead's birthday.
Thank you. Don't part of it.
We were saying that yesterday, and she called me old because she tried to get him to think it was my birthday, so she was like, she's old. I said, She's older.
She called me and said, "We don't have a cake, we really need a cake." So I got two, so I'm glad about that.
Any more motions or notices? I'd like to notice that we have a lot of women sitting here in our crowd that have, if not as elected or appointed officials, that have spent many years dedicating their work to the Osage Nation. I don't even know how many years that some of the faces have been here, but even though you weren't elected to Congress, or that wasn't your calling, I want to say that we're going to recognize and appreciate every Osage woman that puts time into their government to serve the people of the Osage Nation. That's what this whole exercise is about. And I appreciate you, and I'm sure that every member on Congress sitting here appreciates the work that you do to serve the Osage people. Thank you very much. And we are now...
I agree. I'm so glad that they don't think it's a
And we are now at adjournment.
Motion to adjourn until 10 a.m. tomorrow.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes. Yes.